Hello everyone, welcome to another episode for 10 for the Chairman. For those of you who haven't watched this before, this is where I take 10 questions from our subscribers and answer them to the best of my ability. Our subscribers are the subset of our community that contribute money every month to support our ongoing community engagement and sort of community relations that we do every day, essentially. And you know, I think it's one of the reasons why Star Citizen is so successful is because we really concentrate on trying to inform and share and communicate with everybody that has backed the game, and we really couldn't do it to the level we do it without the money the subscribers contribute, because it sort of pays for the video team, a fair amount of our community team, and also generation of sort of content for people to consume. So Jump Point magazine, which we do every month, is 50 to 70, 80 pages each month, and it has behind the scenes articles on how we make a certain ship, or how we made a certain weapon, or how we built a character, or what a certain game design mechanic we were working on, or what happened behind the scenes going to a show, or also has sort of background information on parts of the Star Citizen universe and fiction set in the Star Citizen universe. And it's a really good read. I would recommend checking it out if you get a chance. And then on top of that, we do quite a few sort of video shows. Obviously, this is one of them. Around the Verse is sort of the mainstay, which is sort of basically the news of what's happening in Star Citizen. And then we have additional shows like Bug Smashers and Shipshape and those kind of things that provide additional information. So thank you, subscribers, for allowing us to do probably more sort of community-facing information and content than I think I've seen any other game do, and it's, I think, one of our largest. It's one of the largest reasons why we've been doing as well, and you guys have been an incredible, great, loyal, and supportive community. So thank you, subscribers. And speaking of a great community, we had a few backers coming by visit the office today. So this came from Dan in Switzerland, and he gave me, of course, a Swiss Army knife engraved for me, and it says Pocket Plasma Torch update soon. It's missing the TM on it, but it's very cool. So it's pretty nice. I'm actually flying to the UK tonight because I'm going to be there for the next. That's a knife. I won't be taking this with me on the flight, by the way. But I'm flying to the UK tonight because I'm going to spend the next 2 weeks in the Manchester office in the lead up to CitizenCon, which is going to be in Manchester, and then right after that, I'll be locking down some more of the scenes that we shot and performance capture for Squadron 42. Got to finish the selects, to finish the sort of digitized motion capture, process where we sort of select these are the performances of the parts of the scene we want, and then they gets all the magic and it gets built into 3D, and then we can animate it inside the 3D environment. So I'm doing that tonight. And then the other gift I have here on the thing is this is from Operation Pitchfork. That's one of their challenge coins in there. And it says, for the defense of life and liberty, we, the free and independent citizens of humanity, declare our intent to carry out Operation Pitchfork, a coordinated strike to end the unwarranted vandal slaughter of the colony of Armitage and every human since. Anonymous, 17 October 2943. So it's very cool. We'll go in my little back area there with all the other really cool stuff, which I have a few from the Operation Pitchfork folks. And I think you guys will actually be quite happy at CitizenCon, because we have something that kind of speaks to this, and we kind of a rallying cry for all you guys. So there you go. All right, let's get to the questions. First one comes from Dex, who asks, it's been a while since we've heard anything about ship armor. Can you tell us where it is in development and when we'll be able to see it implemented in the game? Well, it's actually implemented in the game right now. So it's been in Arena Commander for quite a while. The big issue is you really don't see it because it's sort of an invisible item, but it's attached via an item port to the ship. Ships like the Hornets that have armor have the armor item attached to them, and essentially the current implementation is a modifier on damages you take. So it modifies the energy damage, it modifies the ballistic damage in the same way that a shield does, except for armor is built to sort of absorb ballistic damage but not be very good against absorbing energy damage, and then a shield is the exact opposite case. So we actually have armor implemented in the game, you just don't visually see it. We do have plans to add sort of the visual representation part of it would actually be quite easy because it's an item that gets attached, so therefore that will be just adding geo in, and the item system already supports that. We just haven't built sort of, like whatever you want to call it, armor, reflective armor pieces that you would now see on your ship. And then the other thing that we've been talking at that hasn't been fully implemented is sort of a material swap or change. So when you change the armor on your ship, you can actually see a difference in the surface quality of the places that are armored. That's actually not that difficult to do, but it's sort of going to be wrapped up into our physicalized damage system work that we're planning to do. So that's actually on Mark Abent's list of to-dos, but we've got some pretty deep item system refactoring for the greater good of the game with him and Paul are doing right now. But the armor is actually already in there, and so really the key is to make it more visible, and then I think it will also become more apparent and more have more nuance when the fully physicalized damage system's in. All right, next question comes from Doc Tari, who asks, could you briefly go over how coordinate spaces work in the verse, per system coordinates and galaxy-wide coordinates? So in terms of how things work in the setup we have right now, in the system, we consider sort of the center of the star system to be the origin 0, 0, 0 in X, Y, and Z. Our unit space in the engine is set up on meters, so 1 unit is 1 meter. The center of the solar system would be where the star that everything would orbit around, or the multiple stars that people would orbit around. And so right now, in terms of flying around that, like locations, we kind of have a debate about whether we give you sort of set nav points, like, okay, here's arriving at this planet, or here's arriving at this asteroid field. So there's sort of navigation points that you can enter, and then also whether you could just enter a random sort of XYZ position to quantum to, or would we make you sort of fly to it cruise speed first, basically enter that location into your nav computer, and then you could broadcast it to your friends and it would be an entry, which is kind of one of the sort of the explorer developer options. So we're sort of playing around with that concept, but we are going to allow you to sort of set or explore or define off the beaten path places, but have pre-done navigation points, so it's almost like you would on a GPS, I guess. Then on the galaxy-wide coordinates, we would basically specify what system you're in. So you're in Stanton system, you're in Sol system, you're in Terra system. So then, it would potentially be, Sol system, Earth, or Sol system at this XYZ location, and that will potentially, we'll see how it works, because we've also had some debates about actually having orbital mechanics. So obviously an XYZ position doesn't really work unless it's relative, because if you want to go to Earth and it's at a different point in its orbit, it won't be there, right? So those are kind of the things we still need to flesh out. Right now, in the large world map and multi-crew, it's XYZ in meters, and we give you predetermined nav points, and you can sort of unlock more and more of them by exploring around and doing stuff like that. Okay, next question comes from Monkey Time, who asks, it's been said that there will be levels of controlled and uncontrolled space, and those wishing to avoid combat with other players should stick to the more controlled areas. Does this mean that certain career paths, exploration for example, that necessitate travel into uncontrolled or uncharted space will be impossible to pursue without possibility of PvP? That's a good question. There is a certain amount, if you're traveling into uncharted space, then there's probably not likely to be other players out there, because you're one of the first people out there, so even if there was PvP out there, you're probably not likely to engage in it. I mean, one of the bigger points of exploration is that you're going to go to areas that people haven't gone before, or you'll sort of chart off the beaten path, as I was mentioning just before on sort of the coordinate space navigation points. So it's a pretty good question. I would say that the PvP slider would also come into effect there, where that would reduce the chance of you having an encounter with someone that would be hostile. But if it's totally uncontrolled and it's out there, then there would be a small remote possibility of PvP out there, sort of depending. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, that's kind of part of getting it all up and running and see how it works for folks, which is what I would recommend doing, because I know a lot of people are worried about, oh, there isn't going to be enough PvP, or oh my god, I'll be forced into PvP. And I think we've got a pretty good answer in the way we've set it up, that we'll have stuff that will be good for both parties, both groups. So let's wait till we get there, and if it's not working perfectly, we'll try our best to balance and fix things. Okay, next question comes from Dex again, which I think Dex may have sneaked 2 questions onto this list.
They were both heavily upvoted, I think, is why they got
apparently they were both heavily upvoted. Well done, Dex. I thought there was favoritism happening here. Over the past few years, a lot of us have accumulated a number of large multi-crew ships. Can you give us an update on your vision for NPC Crews and what limitations, if any, we are likely to see? Well, you're definitely going to need to have NPCs for some of the larger ships because they're big. And it probably will not be a case that you'll be able to get enough of your friends to manage a ship with you. I mean, obviously not in a constellation, but when we start to get up to an Idris, you probably would want to have some NPC crew members. They will be running just like AI, the same way we would run AI in Squadron 42 or run AI running a big sort of NPC or AI ship. They won't be obviously as self-aware as a real player would be. You would have to be more specific in tasking them. Okay, you're now the gunner. You need to go this. So they won't be sort of thinking ahead the same way that a real person would. But they'll fill the various roles effectively depending on kind of their rating. So if you have an experienced crew member, then they'll be able to be much better at doing some of the jobs than a rookie junior one. But of course, the more experienced folks will cost you some more money to pay, because none of these NPCs are going to be working for free. So you have to pay your crew and make sure they're taken care of. And so they'll be just sort of like hiring folks to help, whether it's run the ship you're flying or fly escort with you. That's actually going to be a large part of the game. I mean, I think I've mentioned before that we have sort of a kind of goal of a 90-10 ratio between AI and real live players in the world, and we'll scale that way. So just in general, 9 out of 10 people that you will meet will probably be an AI, and the other 1 person will be a real person. So therefore, we have to make them believable and go about their daily activities and perform their jobs pretty well, which is sort of one of the big focuses Tony's making with his subsumption system for the persistent universe. All right, next question comes from WLB, who says, or doesn't say, ask, will orgs be able to engage in guild wars against other orgs, enter alliances that give us some kind of bonus or benefits, and could an entire org become blacklisted by law enforcement groups like the UEE Advocacy, similar to how in real life a person can be arrested for being involved with a known criminal organization like a gang, syndicate, or violent extremist group? So yes, definitely you'll be able to engage in guild wars. In fact, I'm pretty confident that there will be some guild wars, considering the amount of different organizations that I've seen that we have, and the fact that quite a few of them are diametrically opposed to each other. Definitely, and we are building, we sort of have kind of 3 levels of gameplay that we're focusing on. One is the sort of solo gameplay, which is more akin to the privateer or the freelancer gameplay, where you go and do your own stuff. You could potentially do work for bigger organizations or other people. Then we've got the sort of group of friends set up. So think of that like a raiding party or something in World of Warcraft, and you and 3 or 4 of your friends are flying a constellation and you're going off on missions. And then we have sort of the big level organization stuff where we're deliberately going to have some areas that the organizations would want to fight over or control their own, and that would involve lots of people, not just 3-4 people, hundreds of people, maybe not all hundreds of people in exactly the same instance at the same time, but a bigger scale conflict where people are bringing bigger ships to the fight, and working with sort of various like fighters and medium-sized ships and big cap ships and combined arms and all that kind of stuff. So we're definitely trying to create that level of gameplay, and I think it would be cool. I also think that if an organization sort of persists in attacking sort of the institutions, whether it's the UEE or whatever, then yes, at that point that organization itself will become sort of the enemy of the state, and we'll have AI, say advocacy agencies go after members of that organization if they know or can detect members of that organization. So we haven't finalized sort of the reputation system that would go with that, and how that sort of gets transmitted or broadcast, and how you could spoof it or hide it from people, but that would all be sort of plugged into that. And I think it should make it a pretty interesting game dynamic, and we'll see what happens. I know we've got plenty of pirate orcs, for instance, so they'll probably be on the other side of the law. So there you go. All right, hope that answers the question. All right, next question comes from Weeborg1978, who says, how will trading in SC work? Will there be some kind of auction house like in MMOs? Will it be possible not only to sell goods, e.g. data for rare oil fields, or can I make something like a profit sharing for the ore? But I think what's asking here is, can I not only sell something for money, but could I perhaps say, hey, here is information on an ore field, but instead of giving me UEC, I want to take 30% of whatever money you make from mining it. So that's a good question. We're definitely going to have the ability to do some trading. There will be, kind of the, to do the trade, there'll be some kind of cost to do the trade. And depending on where it is, or depending on like how safe it is, then that cost would be a larger amount than if it was sort of a kind of no holds barred, dodgy pirate deal. I don't know about the profit sharing, giving someone saying give me 20 or 30%. I think definitely in the first stage of the implementation of the game, that would be a deal that you would have to do personally, and the other player would have to sort of honor the contract he had with you, versus it be automatic in the system. Longer term, you never know, but certainly not in the short term, because there's quite a few other things to get done first. So anyway, there you go. I hope that helps. Next question comes from Capstone, who asks, from a design perspective, do you see inflation or deflation as the biggest threat to an MMO's economy? And is one of the many aims of this policy of setting a real-world price on UEC to combat gold farmer-induced inflation? Two real questions. So, obviously inflation and deflation is kind of a threat to most economies. We on our side, because I've mentioned the sort of 90-10 ratio of players to AI, so 90% of the universe is AI that obviously us as the sort of game masters have an influence over. They trade, they go about their daily lives, they earn money, do all these things. So it's actually a pretty good tool to make sure that if a player finds an exploit or does all this other stuff, it won't totally crater the economy, because 90% of the commerce is happening inside the AI world, and we sort of have control over that. So, if we see something spinning out of control on the player side, we could potentially counter it on the AI side. So that's kind of one of the ideas, to try to sort of, not be too beholden to, say price fixing or any kind of, machinations that sort of players could get together and do. They'll have the ability to affect some form of the economy in a more localized fashion, but because there'll only be 10% of players in the overall universe, they won't have the ability to affect the economy on sort of a more sort of overbearing or global basis. As far as a real world price on UEC, I mean, that's kind of our, we're not doing a subscription fee, so kind of where we think we'll be earning money long term to pay for the servers and adding new content and carrying to go, and besides new people joining and buying their game package, is for the people that love the game, but they just don't have 30 hours a week to be flying around doing stuff, but they really want to get that cool ship or that cool weapon. So they'll be able to buy some UEC, and that will sort of get them there, because that sort of falls to the whole sort of time versus money argument. So it's not so much to combat gold farmers, it's more just to be one of the ways that we'll financially support the game going forward once it's live. We will definitely put some things in there to make it difficult for, say, a bunch of gold farmers to go and sell people UEC. I mean, it's almost impossible to fully stop stuff, because people can build up an account and then just transfer the account and sell it. But we'll have a fair number of you won't just be able to wire people money with at no cost and no checks and stuff like that. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's still early days, and I'm sure we'll there'll be plenty of things that we haven't realized that we'll have to adjust. But that's part of the point of getting you guys in early. Next question comes from Alan Parsons. Will NPCs work for a player even when the player will go offline? Or can I hire NPCs to do missions, mining, hauling, and myself is sitting in the hangar or bar and waiting for the NPC to finish the mission by themselves? So I definitely don't think you're going to have NPCs doing stuff for you when you're offline. You probably would be able to hire some NPCs to go and do a mission while you're down on planet side, say sitting in a bar, and say, here, I'll pay you this to deliver this cargo to this planet or this other player. And that definitely will happen. Your sort of game time will tick by while you're on your planet, waiting for them to finish their mission, and when they do, then it'll happen. So I guess you could run sort of NPCs just from a static location if that was what you wanted to do. That's kind of how the design's set up. Okay, next question comes from Bloodproof, who asks, will there be trade lanes similar to the game Freelancer, or will Star Citizen have open space travel only? So we're not going to have trade lanes in terms of any sort of mechanical trade lane. There will be by default areas that are sort of the trade paths, because they'll be nav buoyed out and they'll be sort of the main trading kind of routes that various size ships will take. But you'll also have open space travel, so you'll be able to fly anywhere in any direction. We're actually adding additional flight modes, which I've talked about before, but in the multi-crew release there's going to be precision, which is sort of the low speed flying for like landing, taking off, maneuvering close to other ships or structures. Then there's SCM, Space Combat Maneuvering, which is basically what everyone knows from Arena Commander, which is sort of the low sort of speed kind of space combat kind of velocity range, and that's that. So you can do pretty drastic maneuvers and not be pulling too many Gs. And then we have Cruise, which is between SCM and Quantum, and Cruise is going a lot faster, but then you can't really turn very fast. And if you did, you would be sliding quite a bit. But that's really for sort of getting to places quickly when you don't want to jump drive, or maybe you don't have a nav point for them. And then beyond that would be Quantum Drive. Okay, so there you go. Hopefully that answers the question. Okay, next question comes from S. Shatos, who asks, will players traveling in fleets be able to send out ships to scout the route ahead? How do you envision this working with instances and the matchmaking system? Yeah, if you're traveling in a fleet and you send a friend of yours out on a ship ahead, they can go to another area, and the way the system is going to work is that we only hand you off to another server if there's too many people in this area of space in the server. So like at the very beginning, if there's only 2 people in the star system, and say you can have 50 people in maximum in any one server, right? These I'm just giving example numbers. That's not necessarily what the final numbers will be. Those 2 people will be on the same server, and that will continue. If there was 10, there will still be those 10 people be on the same server. Now, once we get over the server maximum, say 50, and we move to 60, at that point we can't fit 60 people in one server. So we would basically say, okay, let's look at the locations and say, okay, well, here's an area that's fairly dense. Say it's a planet. Say it's Earth. So in Earth, that will be its own sort of separate server zone, and then people near or around Earth will be talking to the server that's controlling that. And then people on the other side of the solar system, say around Pluto or flying around generally out in space, would be talking to another server. And so you sort of split out players to additional servers as more people come into the solar system. And then when we have quite a few servers running, that's when you sort of have to deal with the instancing of like, okay, well, we want to keep people together if they're part of the same sort of organization or party, or they're friendly, or they've noted each other as a person of interest. So in most cases, unless there's, you're getting into like huge battles and loads of amounts of people, you could send someone ahead to say scout an asteroid field, and you come back and say, yeah, it's fine. Or, oh, you know what, there's a couple of pirates out here, and the rest of your fleet would come to where you were. You'd still all be in the same server, and you would have an encounter. And then even if you're on separate servers because there were too many people in the solar system, and the asteroid field was handled by a different server than, say, where the rest of the fleet is, we always try to keep slots open on servers for sort of friends to join, basically. And so, the message would go out from your scout saying, hey, join me, and there'll be a certain number of slots available for the fleet, and the ones that would be available would be filled. And if there was too many people, then we would just have to make a decision of, do we keep the fleet together and put it in another instance, or do we split it up? And we haven't really decided how that would work yet. On that, it's, you can have an argument for both ways, so we may make it user definable, or we may try it one way and see how it plays. So there you go, that's it. That is the 10 questions and 10 for the chairman. This is, I think I mentioned, well actually, time you see this, I will actually be in England. But I will be over in England for about the next 4 weeks, spending time in Manchester working with the team there, especially leading up to CitizenCon. So next week you won't have my face. Nice face. We may film one because Tom and the team are coming over for CitizenCon, so we may film out a 10 for the chairman while I'm there. You'll definitely be seeing me on CitizenCon on the live stream, and I'm really, really, really excited to show you a bunch of stuff we're going to show you. I think you guys hopefully will be very excited. It's some cool stuff. I mean, obviously we've still got loads of stuff to be doing on all levels, but it's going to be an awesome ride. And anyway, there you go. All right, talk to you. I'll see you in the verse in the next few weeks. Bye. Hey guys, thanks for watching 10 for the Chairman. If you guys would like to see more episodes, go here. If you guys would like to subscribe to our YouTube channel and always keep up to date with all our video content, go here. And if you guys would like to watch episodes of Around the Verse, go here please. And I will see you in the verse.
This video made possible by the ICC Stellar Surveyors and subscribers like you.